All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live all over the planet. I got my man Scott Morse in the building with me, and we're popping off. We're popping off. It's going crazy. What's going on, man? How are you?
Rocking and rolling, man. Immediately to my right, we have a brand new class of 17 kids. So,
oh, dude, I love
it. They just started yesterday. So it's like extra energy and everything in here right now. So
dude, that's the whole game. And I think that we were talking about it beforehand. And that's the whole point of we want to start doing these. We want to start talking about what it really takes to run an operation in real estate, what it takes to stay consistent with your marketing and letting people get to know you as a CEO, which is extremely important. The last 3-4 years we've known each other. We've seen this incredible advancement in communication to where CEOs can now be at the forefront, at the stage and at the keynote speaker position representing their companies. We've seen it since Steve Jobs, and I think that has filtered across all industries now. And so as a leader in your category, we want to make sure we shine a light on how people can be served by you and your team. And people might see your operation now, Lamassu leads, the outbound cold calling Jedis, and they might say, oh, well, Scott's got it all together and X, Y, and Z. And that's never the case. So explain to the people out there that don't know you how you got started in this and what this looked like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. Dude, you hit it on the head because it's constant refinement, nonstop, relentless, day after day after day, even after all these years. But this, I think, is like the old adage that all good products come from big needs. Mm-hmm. And so this was an accident, Pat. I got heard about the wholesaling and investment space like 5 years ago after having a couple other successful call center-based companies. And I outsourced, and everybody sucked. And I was just like, there's no way I'm going to let this moron or this team be my first impression from my sellers. Like, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, I just couldn't personally find somebody that I trusted to be the impression that I would never be able to replicate. They talk to this person, all of a sudden I pick up the phone. I couldn't stand it. And so ultimately, after trying a couple of different partners out there, I said, I'll just do it my damn self, Pat. And so I started a small team, and then other people wanted it. And before you know it, 4 or 5 years later, we got this behemoth behind us.
It's amazing. And I remember making, songs with my guitar 10 years ago. I was singing about the old hometown St. Louis hockey team, and we always got eliminated in the first round. We had never won the Stanley Cup, and I made those for years just to be funny. And then one year in 2019, they ended up winning the Stanley Cup, and Grant Cardone was sharing my videos, and Gary Vee was sharing my videos. We met shortly after, and I think that showed me that there is a need for this. CEOs do not have time to be updating their Facebook and their Instagram and their TikTok and their YouTube every day. Their face needs to be everywhere. And so similar to you, I'm like, man, there's so many business owners that need us. How do we serve these people? And I realized we got to be there for them every single day. We have to be there for them every day. And you guys understand this because people are probably on your dialer systems every day looking at what got done.
Yeah, and it's serving it. And also, too, trying to find that mix from the CEO world, guys who aren't overly passive. I think in the REI space specifically, you can have some CEOs that are detached from their sales director or sales floor. And so we like to give them tools so that way they can be engaged, because I think it's not what people don't do what you expect, they do what you inspect. And so it's not only us inspecting our own performance, but us giving the CEOs tools to be able to have better insights into their own closers' performance and kind of bridge that gap where it's just like cross accountability, no matter from the very initial call to that very last signature on the document. How do we increase accountability and transparency?
Yeah, I love that analysis, dude, because with us, we integrate with social media teams. And so we want to present you in your style. We want to give you the tools that make it easier for you, but we want you to be you. And one thing that you have that, in my opinion, a lot of people are shy from is just getting on camera all the time. Why is that so important? I mean, you clearly understand that. How can we help other people understand that it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be a perfect setup. It doesn't need to look perfect, sound perfect every time. You want to present yourself as professional, but you got to start. People need to know who you are.
In 5 years, I've never spent a dollar for any ads anywhere. I've never paid for a PPC. I've never paid for a Facebook in 5 years. And so I think that's what everybody needs to know is if you have something authentic, whether it's your actual office or your home office, I think this industry, particularly the REI space where you're helping a lot of people as well, but it's just like people want to see that real deal and not just this guy standing in front of his rented Lambo all the time. And there's just such a niche for people who can gravitate to it. So I don't care where I'm at. I like to pop open the thing because I have a real business. And I want people to see what it takes to run a real business. No matter the size of the business, it's that authenticity, I think, that really gravitates.
I love that, dude. And trust me, there ain't nothing wrong with a Lambo or a Porsche or a big house or a pool or anything you guys want to go out there and earn and succeed with. But here's the thing is that people want results and they need help. They've got pain that they're dealing with in their life. And so celebrating and taking those days and hitting the beach, have your pina colada, great. But I mean, you got to be back in the war zone. And I think that you need to instill in your brand that discipline and accountability for people to see, because this ain't all sunshine and rainbows. And Rocky Balboa wasn't the first person to say it. It's just common sense.
Yeah. And also, too, I've never been in the industry until I got into this space. Like, I've been in high ticket sales for 24 years. I've never seen a volatile industry like real estate. If somebody would have told me before I went into it, I would never have fell in love with it. It's like falling in love with somebody who's got a drug addiction. It's like, oh, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And it's just a roller coaster. And so that's why I think the attentiveness that really you need as a leader in this space, it's full bore, because you close your eyes just for a little bit before you know it, something's changed. A law is being changed, a regulation, a marketing channel is collapsing. The seller awareness to the economy, there's a gap there that tends to be in either direction. So you'll go through cycles where customers just aren't aware what the investors know. And so it ends up being this thing where it's like, wow, I'm really surprised, by the volatility in this market through successes.
Dude, and there's so much opportunity for everyone to take advantage of that. And this is where this is a great piece in the conversation. When you install a system that is team related, someone that's a category expert, and they are able to execute a process for you like what you guys offer, this can increase your efficiency and your output by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times. Explain how this works. We've got so many people out there driving for dollars on their own, making their own phone calls and X, Y, and Z. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you really want to scale, you've got to bring in other people.
Yeah, you do. And at some point, you're going to have to be able to trust some experts out there and then maybe appreciate the level of aptitude that they have at that skill set based off of your communications with them. That's the reason why I want to talk to every single person. I interview potential customers just as much as they interview us, because the level that we've had to grow our BI tools, which stands for business intelligence tools, the high velocity enterprise dialer, all this cost and infrastructure spend that we've had, it really allows somebody to say, okay, cool, my business has multiple legs. I have marketing, I have sales, I have disposition, my finance. I want to be able to take at least a chunk of this leg and give it to somebody so I can focus on my most important thing, which is sign contracts. And so I think it's just finding a reliable partner, no matter what your marketing channels, whether it be mail or PPC or outbound lead generation. We don't call ourselves cold call, we call it outbound lead generation. But if you're going to have that trusted partner, now I can focus on this other thing, which is the most important, which is getting deals signed.
Well, and I think that, being an organic marketing guy, a lot like yourself, we've done a really great job of getting referrals and handshakes and all of that, and it's really helped us build our business. And it's all come from that outbound organic, just putting ourselves out there, getting people results, getting people on stages, getting them views, getting them leads, getting them deals, and really over time growing that trust and that accountability. You scroll through somebody's page and they've posted every single day for 6 months. You can't fake that.
100%. Yeah,
and it's the same thing with calls. People that use your service can go in and they can look and see if someone made calls or not. This is not hard.
Yeah. Well, they know because the CRM's ringing and saying, bing, new lead, bing, new lead, bing, new lead. We do about 2.3-ish million outbound dials a month out of here. So we're definitely putting in our reps.
That's the whole game, is reps. And I think that people shouldn't be afraid to put in the early reps, the ones that hurt, the ones that it feels like you're not getting results, you're not growing, you're not shredding down, you're not closing anything. Those are the ones that really matter the most, because you're going to start to see it. You're going to start to feel it. You're going to see the results. You got to put in that 30, 60, 90 days just to get over that initial hump. How can we inspire people that are out there? They've maybe got 5 to 10 deals a month. They want to be doing 20. What do they need to do?
I don't know if you're doing 5 to 10 deals a month already. I don't know if it's inspiration as much as a processes. I think that a lot of times it's, if I could go, and this is maybe not even at a service of my business, but if I were to go into any wholesaler investor's business, the number one thing I would do is help them nurture the existing leads that are already in there. I find that this industry has such shiny object syndrome, and they have such low resiliency for the word no, that once they get a little bit of a passive aggressive, I'm not interested, they abandon it. Yep. And so I think there's just so much money sitting in people's CRMs. Like, let's clean it out. Even if nothing else, let's clean it all out and then start diving in. But if you're doing 5 to 10 deals a month, I think the whole point is, how can I add a channel to help me do another 3 to 4 deals a month? And this other channel do 3 to 4 deals a month, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Because I think that, at least this was for me. I had never made any money till 3 or 4 years ago, and that's fine. And I finally started making some cash, and I'm like, oh, I got to save every dollar. And then you get to the end of the year, and you're like, I should have put that back in because now I owe X amount of dollars in tax. And again, these are things you learn. We've all been through it. So I got to pay my liability, I could pay my dues. I don't want this mistake to happen again. Who do I need to talk to help myself invest back into my team and my growth and my software and my this and my that? I need podcast equipment. I need to be doing more outbound podcast. I need to be streaming with everybody. You start to think, okay, well, man, I paid a hefty fee here based on finally making some money. That money should always go, like you said, pick a channel and start to grow that new lead flow. I think that people start to make a couple bucks, at least me personally, and I've seen this across the board, and they're like scared to deploy. That was kind of why I brought that up. Maybe that 5 to 10 deals and you're like, okay, well, I'm finally making money. I just want to play it safe now. I'm good with this. That's a nasty recipe right there sometimes.
Yeah, it's a real thing, because what ends up happening is they take their foot off the gas just a little bit. And then all of a sudden, listen, sales is just a numbers game. And so you're going to have an average, which means you're going to have highs and lows. It's just how the year will work out for you. And so you're 100% correct. It's like, okay, you're doing 5. You finally had your 7 deal month. I would keep on laying on the gas as much as possible. And so
right.
You see that occasionally.
And so there's a lot of people, most people that we work with, they're advanced. I mean, they've got teams, they're working with X, Y, and Z. They've got multiple people in their office, even maybe. Usually it's not enough people. I know We've got a ton of editors. We've got, our management team that posts everything for people. We've got to make sure we check everything. We don't want any errors. And even then, you first get started on something, you got to fix it. You got to do whatever. You got to get people in and have a quality control that can be challenging. And you still got to nurture what you already have. So you want to make sure you give the same level of attention across the board. You're never going to have enough staff. You know this. You got a gazillion people behind you. Why is it important for people to start to use these virtual systems, these virtual teams? Because I had to do it with editors, so that you can take a piece of your workflow, and that workflow you turn around 8 hours later and you review, and it's done for you. You turn around because day after day after day after day after day, I've bought myself hours and hours and hours and hours of time back by building my own editing and distribution team. And like you said, I had to build it for me at first. And then everyone else was like, dude, you're really consistent.
How'd you do that?
How did you do that? And I'm like, well, dude, I had to do it all myself at first. And then I had to train team members, but it's not enough. We need 1 million more editors. We want to work with everybody. We want everybody posting on social media. Yep. How much fun is it for someone who feels completely overwhelmed when they call you and they say, Scott, I can't do this like this anymore. And then 6 months later, they're like, I'm so glad I called you. How good of a feeling is that?
Yeah, it's a good feeling. The hardest part is getting past people's egos in the beginning. Because a lot of times it's like they're going to a psychiatrist. They don't really want to say the reason why their husband and wife are cheating and that she feels abandoned or whatever. And so
Hmm.
I'll have to work through it with people who are like, oh, I've had some cold callers. Cold caller never worked out for me in the past. It's like, no, you hired a guy in Pakistan who you never trained, and he had his own data, and he was sharing that with 7 other people.
And you never
So it's like
monitored him, and right.
never monitored, and you really suck at leadership, but you're great at investing and rehabs, and so that's a thing. But once I can get past that, and we can understand what their true needs are, man, it's so cool because I got my number one client this month. He's a guy named Joe Theriault out of Massachusetts. He's had his 9th deal so far for this month,
Mm.
and he lives in a house from Lamassu because he sent us like a year ago. He said, "Hey, man, dude, I really want to buy a new house. Here's all my preferred zip code. Can you bang on this zip code? I'm trying to find my dream house." We find him his dream house. He's got a jujitsu studio downstairs now,
Nice.
jacuzzi, his whole life. He's doing great. And it's like, he's one of my success stories that I just love so much because he stuck with us. He never gave up on the process. He had been burnt by cold callers before. And every night he goes to bed in a house created by Lamassu. This month, just from my marketing channel, he's
Amazing.
got 9 deals. It feels great.
Dude,
I
you
would never shut it down for guys like him. There's just certain clients that if I were like, you know what, I'm going to go into a completely different vertical, I'd always keep it open for a guy like him because I just enjoy his
Totally.
success so much.
Totally. And dude, this whole real estate community has completely changed my career. It's completely put me in a whole new trajectory. I run my whole company here out of my house, and the whole second floor is studios. Guests can come here. There's 2 guest bedrooms. There's multiple studio rooms. You can do podcasting.
Yep.
You can do your vertical stuff. And it's like, I learned all of that stuff from hanging out with real estate folks because they are always investing in other people because they know that it's a relationship game. Without another person, there's no transaction. Without me helping you make money, I'm not making any money. Without helping you get the word out about what you can offer, I can't fund deals. Without, you know what I mean? Or I can't have my cold callers handled or whatever it is. People in real estate, I've never been around another business community that supports the other person, even if they're your competitor, maybe, like the real estate community. I've never seen anything like it before.
It blew my mind. And the first mastermind that I went to, I was just like, I'm going to devour all these fools. What do you mean you're telling me all your little mark? My mindset was just from all the other industries I've been in, which is literally we just kill and devour and destroy. And, and then what it was is I didn't appreciate how many more deals you can get done with people's knowledge bases or their social networks.
Yeah.
So it's way been more beneficial to be collaborative than competitive. And then I also underestimated the actual size of the industry itself. Like there's just so many deals and so much opportunity.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so it's way more synergistic than I thought. But just like you in the beginning, I was like, why is this guy standing in front of the room telling me exactly which marketing channel and his zip codes that are performing the best?
Right. And it's because the more people that are active, the more win. The other thing is it's good to give that information away because, and Gary Vaynerchuk has said this, dude, like 98 point something % of people will do nothing.
True.
That is part of the reason why I'm so passionate about the social media thing. Cause dude, if the guy from the corner of the bar can go from playing for 13 people to 10,000 people at Mandalay Bay because of some real estate guy, what can you do out there? And so all you got to do is find the right people, bring the right value, and fill the right hole. People trying to reinvent the whole wheel. Hey, listen, if I got to serve coffee and tea and water to sit at the right table, yo, man, give me the cook's hat. I don't care. Let me put some gloves on. Why is that so important too? To just get out there and deliver value every day.
Well, listen, it becomes your passion, right? At this stage, I have such a beautiful team here, and it's autonomous enough that I don't need to be here. I choose to be here. It's like riding a jet ski. Some days the jet ski's got a little bit of smoke, but the rest of but it's always fun. It's always like riding a jet ski. So for me, this is a bit of a passion project, being able to see these kids change their lives too. I think that was a surprise for me for sure, Pat, which is I'd never been around a group of people that were more collectively appreciative for a job opportunity until I moved off into another continent. It's a different cultural vibe. These kids know that this office doesn't exist anywhere else in the state. And so this is something they should hold on to and give their best daily.
That's amazing. And our editors, who you know some of them, they're
Yep.
all located in Venezuela, which is South America.
Nice.
And
Yep. Right down the
some
street.
days they have power issues, and some days they have this
Mhm.
issue and that issue. The circumstances down there for them are really unfortunate in some days. I mean, I've mailed them iPhones so they can make sure they're communicating with our clients on WhatsApp or on iMessage. We use Discord a lot. And we've found all kinds of ways to make sure they've got power if power goes out, and internet when internet goes out. And I've never had to let one person go from the team. I've got all the people that were the original VAs that I first hired when I found out what VA stood for. And I think it's so important for people to realize that you can train people if they're great people. And there is something about those folks down in South America. They outwork people virtually in a remote situation. It's just not even close. It's 10-1.
Yeah, it is.
For
and,
me personally,
again,
I mean, we've compared it to output from American editors or me as an editor even. And it got to a point where like the guys were beating me. Like I couldn't beat the guys on output, and I'm pretty fast.
yeah,
That always
It's
feels
definitely
good when you
great.
get beat in a sword fight by your own Jedi trainee.
Yeah, it is good, man. It's good, and it's the work ethic. And again, I think it's just the follow through that a lot of kids down here naturally have. It's like, okay, I'm just going to go all out until the time clicks. Now, listen, when it's a holiday, this ain't like in the States where you'll be working a holiday. When it's a holiday, daggone it, we close. We got to
Yep.
close down because they're going to be doing something with their family, and so it's just they leave it all out on the field when they're at work, and they leave it all on the field with their family, and I'm happy to support that.
Dude, that's great. And again, it's like the appreciative messages I get from the crew is really inspiring, because I remember when I was begging for opportunities. And all over Hollywood and all over San Diego and San Francisco, I couldn't buy a gig at certain places. And it was the entrepreneurs and the business owners that were like, God, this guy's got some nice talent. Like, these ads are funny. The skits are fun. Let's give him an opportunity. And I found that so interesting. And looking back now, it's really not surprising to me, because business owners and entrepreneurs are used to getting their teeth knocked out and coming at you round after round after round. And they can see when somebody has taken a bunch of shots and they're still going after their thing. And those are the folks that understand you and see potential in you that maybe you don't even see in yourself. And so I would even argue from my perspective that you see so much potential in these folks. And that's why the door is continuing to, be filled with potential, because look at what you've created there, dude. I mean, they're not just going to go work for somebody that doesn't bring any heat.
No, and I'm the first gringo to ever come to this part of the country who hasn't paid them like gringos, trying to do shit under the table, trying to do things
Right.
sideways. Like, I pay full benefits, every single dollar, penny, peso, tax I got to pay. I pay because, but I value it. I want to be the best employer in town, and I want to recruit the best talent in town. And that's part of it. It's like you got to be a great person. You got to have a great accent, which means no accent. And if you have those two, I can turn you into a great salesperson. That's the easy part. But you got to be a good human being. And you got to have really high fluency. That's it.
Dude, I love that. And like I was saying, when you start to make X or Y or Z, you realize you can only keep so much. I would rather put that back into my people and the gear and the things that we need to win than cough it up. And so that was a lesson I learned, is how am I nurturing these guys that put in their time? How am I rewarding them? How am I inspiring them? How am I continuing to get better as a producer, as an editor, as a performer, so that they see and they're like, oh, wow, dude, Pat's on a whole nother level. And so you do that every single day, because you're constantly teaching them what you know, and your 25 years of experience is all over your page. It's no surprise that they're winning. Why is that so important to continue to improve yourself? I think people that run companies, they say, don't work in your business, only work on your business, and blah, blah, blah. I think it's important to be around your team, be around the culture, be there in it, be there on it, be there over it, be there, do what you got to do, man. I think that different things work for different people, but showing up for your people is very essential.
I think it's mandatory, Pat. Like, I tell these kids all the time, I'm the richest guy in the room, but I guarantee I woke up earlier than everybody out here.
Mm.
I read more. I did my goals better. I'm more in line with where I need to be at this quarter, and I want them to see that because, at one point I was a broke moron in the back of a room, and I had a sales director who drove a nice car, whose wife was hotter than my girlfriend, who went to a house that I thought was a mansion.
Yep.
And I remember that. And I remember saying, like, oh, I want to be like that guy. He's really intelligent, but he doesn't seem that special, And that's what I want him to see. It's like, hey, I'm just a guy that I hustle harder than everybody in the room, even after I already have these things. And I'm doing it because I want to lead by example and inspire them and be real about it. Like, you're going to bust your ass for decades, and then you can buy your parents a house, and then you can have multiple cars, and you can have your home paid for and investment properties. You can do all these things, but it's going to take a life of busting ass and taking names.
Well, and another misconception is people think that once you get to a situation to where you got a nice car and you got a house or you got, a pool, or you can take that time at that everything just stops and that you don't do anything anymore. That is so false. You got to do 100 times more.
No. Then you got kids, and you got to pay for their house and their cars and all this other shit.
Right.
And you want to give them the life. Dude, my kids have the most amazing life, and I say this so humbly because I know what mine was. And that was my whole objective as I got older. It's like, okay, like I didn't even fly until I was the first time 21. My kids have been all over the globe, and like it's just they've had such a super dope lifestyle, and all that came from sales and entrepreneurship. And that's why I'm so passionate today about sales and what it can mean for every young man and woman that's behind me, woman that's behind me, that if they just master this sales, persuasion, the art of communication, they find a good industry such as real estate, we can help people and make money too. We can help a seller. We can help our investors. We can get paid handsomely, and everybody is happy.
Well, and also trust and authenticity. It's like, dude, you've stayed in your lane for years.
Yep.
You've stayed in your lane. You focused on becoming the expert in that category. And I mean, you own that pillar of that category. I don't know anybody that does it better than you. And I think that it's just a testament to being consistent over time. You've never tried to shift it or change it up or do this or be the CBD guy or this guy or that. You're the outbound guy.
Yep. Yeah.
Why is it so important to just stay in your freaking lane? People get way too off of alignment with like what they're great at and where they're going. My buddy, Tim Harridge, you probably know Tim. The main thing is the main thing. Keep the main thing, the main thing. Like you're great at media. You're great at, keep the main thing, expand on that. Why is that so important for people? I think they get distracted.
I think the main thing is the process. I think the product is the second thing. And so I'm a mousetrap type of guy, Pat, which means that right now, this is just the mousetrap that's providing the most opportunities, but it's the process behind it, because we could insert product here. We could literally shut it off with a light switch and start it up tomorrow, or whatever other industry. And 99% of the script would stay the same because it's the process. So our process is the main thing. The product is secondary. I just happen to really like this mousetrap, the real estate space. But I'm not, and I know this may sound bad, I'm not necessarily loyal to that. I'm loyal to exceptional conversations and powerful questions and how to build rapport over the phone and how to create value for the people who are going to pay us money, how to not hurt people over the phone, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's kind of how we built this, is just we love the product, but the process is stronger than the product.
Yeah, I love that. And staying within the lines of how you guys can service people at the highest level. Not every deal is going to be the biggest deal. Not every deal is a deal. And I think that as long as you know that as a salesperson, it's just you begin to attract what you put out into the world. I think that social media has proven that if you go out and you're aggressive and you go hard, you're going to attract people that are aggressive that go hard.
Our biggest X factor, I'd say, against any other company out there is for years, from day one to now, I've never once been shady with the leads. And unless you're in this space, you really don't understand what that necessarily means. I call it co-registering because I come from other industries. But I am so dialed into that is your lead. You paid for it. That is yours for life, perpetuity. Never will there ever be a single person in the face of this earth that says, something I just felt wrong. No, fuck. No, that's for those guys in Egypt. That's for those guys in the field, wherever else they're
Yep.
at. But for me, I just believe in like, hey man, this is yours. We're in a partnership together. I'm not taking equity, but we're in a partnership. I want that guy, Joe Derriotto, he's been with me almost 4 years. So it's like we do that because we have a high level of trust in my deliverable and that he'll work my leads the right way. And that I think has really just been our X factor over the years, Pat, that's helped me separate myself from the rest of the fray.
Well, dude, I 100% believe that as a salesperson, I would rather sell, 300 Porsches a year compared to 3,000 Toyota Corollas.
Amen.
That's just the way I look at business. I want to work with the best of the best, and I want to serve everyone else and help them get to a point where they're qualified to work with the best of the best. I mean, I don't want to have to go about it any other way. When I played guitar, I wanted to be so good. I'm Ed Sheeran, or I'm John Mayer, or I'm Tom Petty. I wasn't there to, sing Wonderwall forever. Put me on Mandalay Bay. I'm ready. That's why I got the gig. You can't be scared to be like, I want the biggest shot on the planet. People got to step into it, man.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Every day, baby.
business people, what are some things for sales professionals out there, outside of real estate or any of that, sales professionals, confidence and communication? How are some ways that we can work people's confidence and communication? Obviously, stuff like this, in my opinion, is a great way to get comfortable on your feet with the camera, with having conversations. You can really work on your pitch when you're talking to somebody like I'm talking. Confidence and communication, what are some things people can do today on Tactical Tuesday with Scott to get better to have better results by next week?
One of my favorite quotes from Henry Ford is the phrase, hustle while you wait. And I think that there's a lot of sales professionals out there that really miss that and what that means. And so one of the best ways that you can increase your confidence is to record your pitch. I don't care if you're face-to-face, whatever it may be. And then when you are at night and you are waiting for your next day's opportunity, I want you to listen to that. I want you to play that back. You're no different from the NFL, from the NBA, from the MLB. They're all watching game tape, guys and gals. And so the fact that you have this opportunity as a sales professional to do the same thing. So when I say hustle while you wait, it means that you're actually grinding in the night while you're not talking to that customer. You're playing back those calls. You're listening to yourself. I think it matters.
Yeah, hustle while you wait. I love that, dude. I'll do a little bit of work, editing, this, that, the other thing, and it's got a process. Whenever it's like processing or uploading or going to the team and it's been approved, I'm on the calls. I got a podcast booked. So I make sure that my schedule kind of revolves around everything is always moving, right? Even if I'm not touching it. And that, again, that takes just years of doing it and knowing where your frequency's at too.
Can I give another tip on confidence?
Keep going. Confidence and communication. Yeah. That's the two things today I really want to hammer on. Confidence and communication, because you're great at those two things.
For the sales professionals out there, I think I never really care until I get my first sale. So all I want is my first KPI, because once I can stop making this an emotional thing and I can make this an analytics thing, then my sales pitch just becomes a process and not necessarily something I have to be tied to with my heart. And so you might go 0 for 70 your first 70 pitches because you're just sucked or you're just working through it. It is what it is. But now you have a KPI. And now my next goal is just to get under 70. I might go 0 for 60. But now what I've done is I've gamified this thing that's normally, highs and lows. And she said, no, it's no. I know I got to get 59 no's, or I know I can get 60 no's and I'll technically get a yes. And so I think that's the biggest thing is once you have your number, now you're just working against the number. You're not even doing sales anymore. You're just going through a process until you hit your numbers. And by logic and by the way sales works, it'll fall right into place. And it builds confidence when you're not worried about that one sale. You're looking at the bigger KPI.
Dude, that's an interesting way to look at it. Because like I would say maybe a year and a half ago or so, I weighed like 240 almost. And I weigh like 218 now. So I'm down like 22 pounds or something. And it was literally all numbers. It's not that I was eating that bad or what, it wasn't working out or didn't have energy or whatever. I want to look a little sharper and I still got a long ways to go, but it literally came down to just eat 500 calories less. Eat
Just that
1,800
simple.
instead of whatever you're eating. And like that
Amen.
worked. Sometimes we're overthinking it so much. And
Yeah.
confidence. I think that we talked earlier about putting in the reps. I think that people need to get way more aggressive and way more self analytical about how they're spending their time. I think people think they're putting more reps in than they really are. And the reason why people lack confidence is because they just aren't building it. What do you think about that?
I think I tell these kids I feel so blessed that I grew up in my era where books were the medium in which you would learn and not this poisonous phone. Because with all the access to technology they have, they're bouncing between trying to teach themselves something to be in a TikTok, to IG, to be manipulated by an algorithm. And man, it's so tough because now instead of opening a book and highlighting it and writing little notes, they're listening to a podcast while they're driving, and it has a tactical value. But I think that I feel so blessed because the old school way, my home library, I can start almost the Barnes and Nobles with. And so I would tell anybody if they're looking to go a surefire old school way, let's go with the way it's been for thousands of years, which is grab a book, block everything else out of your life, start to master what's between those pages, and that will also help with building the confidence.
Yeah, I think there is also something about just taking that time, even if it's 20 minutes. I know that in the Andy Frisella 75 Hard, it's read 10 pages a day. There's a lot of different programs out there that talk about this lifestyle shift that you can make within certain categories, fitness, mental, finances. And one of them is always, 10 to 20 pages a day. And it's immensely helped me. When you break it down like that, it makes it a little easier too. Because then all of a sudden you're reading a whole book. And you're like, oh my gosh, I just read a book today.
It's back to what we just said about the numbers. It's just like, oh, I'm not reading a book. I'm reading 15 pages a day. And it makes it just so much easier and bite sized. It's like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? That's it.
Right. I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna do this amount of steps. I'm gonna hit the weights 3, 4, 5 times a week. Depends on how the old rotator cuff feels, and then we'll go from there. I think that when you start to break down your time, you see there's way more holes than you really wanted to see. Hormozy does that too. Like, write down every 15 minutes, what do you do? And you're going to see there's a lot of time that goes out the window. Now, with someone like you or myself, it's like we have to schedule everything because the schedule gets filled up. I mean, you got to go travel this week. I think you're speaking this week. I mean, you're out of town this weekend. Explain what that looks like. So you got to have the people behind you armed and ready and locked and loaded because you got to go grow.
Yeah, and thankfully we've just invested enough in the infrastructure here. And 99% of every leader here started out on the phones. And so I think that's important too. There's not too much outside influence into this office. These are people that know what it's like on the front lines. They know the pains, and they can speak and communicate in the language of the guys who are out there really hauling the shit every day and help create a culture. Because if you had to cold call, it'd be best to cold call on Jeff Bezos' yacht. Well, I can't give him that, but I can give him a dope ass office environment to make that really painful job of cold calling feel fun.
Well, and there's a ton of camaraderie. It's not like you got 2 or 3 people there locked in a closet. I mean, you've got an entire crew of fired up, passionate people that want to make a change, not only in their life, but in the customers' lives. Because listen, we know that the real estate world rewards those who go harder than others. And that's just such a crucial indicator of who's still doing it right now. That all the guys from Dallas that have been doing this for 20 years that I've come across, there's a reason why those people are still successful. And it's because they got great teams. They rely on great people. Most of them have worked with some people for a decade and a half or whoever. They got the same title lady that they've had. She's always been great and this and that. The interesting stories that I hear from these folks, it's a loyalty game. And that's what's happening for you guys, especially with your guy that's been with you for 4 years.
Yeah, our affiliates are like that, and our employees are like that. My COO, she started maybe 4 months after we opened, so about 5 years ago now.
Wow.
I have a handful of people who have been here 4 or 5 years, and it's not just because we're the highest paying in town, although that's an impact, but she just got her opportunity to go work and live in the United States. And for somebody to turn down what's been a 20-some year wish to be able to do that, to all of a sudden be like, you know what we're building here is a little bit more special. even to be entertained in that comparison, it makes me feel good.
Wow, that's big. Wow. Well, I mean, look at that. That's cool, man. I mean, and again, and I've heard this from a couple stages, and I really liked it because the people that said it were so successful, and it's a testament to why they're successful. And that's that if you get to a certain point and you can prove it to yourself that you can earn what you're earning, the best thing that you can do is help other people get to that level. Nothing feels better. And to get, like you say, you get a call from someone and, hey, I got this other opportunity offer, but man, I want to stay with you, man, because you got me here. You changed my life. And what can I do to make it better? There's no bigger compliment to an entrepreneur that's, again, it's had their bell rung a couple times than knowing that person feels safe with you behind the wheel of the airplane.
That's why people ask, they say, hey, Scott, what's the long-term goal with Lamassu? And, I don't have a really strategic answer that's been polished for podcasting and, or stages. It's just, the reality is I'm in an impact phase. And while I can make as much of an impact here with these kids and give them a viable, safe place to work and make great money, as well as be able to benefit the customers, we're just going to keep on rocking and rolling, man.
Right.
And just swimming in opportunity. But that's the goal right now, is just to provide impact.
Dude, it's dope. And so, I mean, dude, this is awesome. We could go all day. What's the best way if we could break it down to close it out? I'm going to hit the music too. I'm going to hit the music for the people here. So if we could break it down, if people had to do one thing to make it better, make it easier to hit the shots this week that they need to hit, what would it be? I mean, people are out there. They don't want to work a job anymore in 2025 in the United States. Let's just be honest. They want to be YouTube stars or entrepreneurs or celebrities or something, but they realize they need a brand. They need sales. They need to learn marketing. They're knocking on doors. They're trying to figure out something. What kind of guidance can you give people? Maybe they're 18 to 21. They don't want to go to college. They don't want to take out the loan. They don't want the debt. They're looking for the answer, and it's sales. The word that they're looking for is sales, but that comes with the confidence and the communication. How do you help someone who's a 20-year-old kid get that advanced, mindset to convert in a 2-minute drill? If you had a 2-minute drill and I had people in my studio, there's 10 kids, they're all 20 years old. What do I need to do? I'm about to go knock and sell some roofs here in Dallas, Texas in 2 minutes. What do they need to know with confidence and communication to get their first deal?
They would probably be taken back by my answer, because I said it almost on how I recruit there, Pat. You build the person, and then the sales part comes second. I think we just got to make sure the foundation is right. At 21 years old, I heard a quote that changed my life forever, and I'd share it with another 21. It said, successful people have simply formed the habits of doing the things unsuccessful people dislike and will not do. And so I would just merely say, if you're 18 to 21 and you're in a sales environment or team environment, look at what all the unsuccessful people do. Look at what the successful people do. Make sure you form the habits of doing the exact opposite of what the unsuccessful people dislike. Because the unsuccessful people, I promise you, they aren't studying their script that night. They're not writing out their goals in that morning. They're not doing their 15 pages. They're not checking themselves out in the mirror before they leave. They don't have little things written on their glass with their daily affirmations. But if you can do those just foundational things that the unsuccessful people dislike and will not do, all the rest is a breeze. But until you make the commitment to do the opposite of the unsuccessful, you will become unsuccessful.
Fire. Straight up heat. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Morse, you can literally click his name on Facebook or write to his page. Add him as a friend, good buddy of mine. Follow his pages. He's got daily videos coming out. And we're going to do these more often. We're going to give you guys more industry updates on how you can sell better, communicate better, be more confident on camera, on the phones, in your business. Scott, thank you, sir. Have a great trip this week. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Cool. Rock and roll, dude. Thanks.